So welcome back to Not Another Recruitment Podcast. This is a series which is called the Founders Series. If you've not checked out the first season, that's where we talk about everything to do with recruitment. In this season, we're going to actually sit down with some founders of recruitment businesses and talk to them about why they set up and what they've done. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Matt from Hire Group, MD, and Emily from Hire Talent, MD. So woo! welcome. So guys, the idea of the podcast is just to have a chat with you, talk to you about why you founded your businesses, how you work together, and just basically have a general discussion about what's led you here today.
Nothing scary.
Yeah, nothing scary. No Piers Morgan questions. So if you want to take us back to the start, how have you got here? And tell us a story.
I think, Matt, you should cover this.
Okay, mate. So I think the start for me is when I worked for a big corporate in London, and it was a good experience. But I think I always felt like I was just like a small number in a very big machine. So I kind of knew pretty early on that I wanted to start my own thing. But I kind of had decided when I do, the thing that I was going to use to sort of differentiate my business from other businesses was the fact that you could join and one day start your own business. That was probably like the key idea, I suppose. So a couple of years later, I started Hire Group. I think I was 23 in 2017. And then a year later, Emily joined, 2018. And we've been kicking on ever since, haven't we, mate?
Yeah. 4 years later? 4
years later.
Yeah. We figured out today we started at 25, which feels like ages ago, but it was actually only 4 years ago.
It's amazing how quick it goes, though, isn't it?
It's so quick.
The time.
So
but it just flies by. So tell us then, Emily, when you joined Hire Group, talk us through your journey and then what's led you to start Hire Talent.
So I joined Hire Group. I was kind of playing with the idea of leaving my role, and I used Matt as my rec to rec, and you wanted to break the grad market in rec to rec. So I'd done grad recruitment for tech sales. So I was interviewing other businesses, and then he asked me to do a graduate consultancy thing.
Yeah, basically we were doing it really badly, right? So like my wife's brother was working for us at the time. So my wife's my business partner, was my girlfriend at the time. And he was terrible. He was really bad. And I didn't really know what. I mean, I said his face. But I asked Emily, because Emily was clearly making a lot of placements doing what she was doing. Like, do you want to come in for a morning and just kind of talk to us about how you actually do grad recruitment? Because I mean, Emily definitely had a few tricks of the trade that I didn't really know.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, and then I suppose you did come in, and then things sort of escalated. It sounds like something else. Jesus Christ.
So I did the consultancy thing, and I was supposed to get £200, which I've still not got to this day.
So true.
It's so true.
And you're not having it either.
It was £200 for an hour you offered me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
generous.
Still very generous.
Couldn't have it.
Still waiting. And then at the end of it, I was supposed to go for an interview with another business like that day. Anyway, we did a talk at the end of the consultancy thing that we did, and I was like, well, if you want to do grads, why don't you hire me? And he was like, well, I'm thinking about it. And I was like, well, I accept. And he was like, literally.
That's your style.
I remember.
Well, I remember it was October, it was just before your birthday. And I said, why didn't you start in January? And you're like, well, why didn't I start Monday? And then she closed me on Monday, resigned on the spot, and
that's quite.
And then you were like, Jen's going to kill me, because it was just him and Jen were business partners. He was like, I've just offered someone a job without even speaking to Jen about it. So he was like, I hope you got on well with Jen, but luckily that was fine and she was chill. But that happened. Then I was with you for 3 years.
Yeah, we Hire Talent started October 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was 8 months ago. So I was there for 3 years. When I joined, Greg left pretty much shortly after.
The week after.
Yeah. So it wasn't my fault, I promise. And then Chris joined, who came from my other business that I was working at, and then we grew from there. So we went from 3-4 heads to, what size was it when I left?
You left, so we'd have been about 20 something when you left last year, and we are 45, 46, including Hire Talent now. So
that's quality. So when you joined to when you left, how long were you there for?
About 3 and a bit years.
3 years.
Wow.
3 years.
Day,
Oh yeah, it was. It was my third year anniversary.
Was it?
The day that Hire Talent launched was 3 years after I started at Hire Group.
That's
by
amazing.
accident, but yeah.
So tell us about how it came then that you decided, I no longer want to be, an employee of Hire Group. I want to start my own thing. Talk us about how that conversation happened and what led to it.
It's kind of 20 stories. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think.
I like how you're trying to whisper, like it's not going to pick it up.
I'm just checking that you remember, otherwise I feel quite hurt.
Well, the first time, I remember the very first time, right? So the first time was, do you remember when we hired Finn, who you also brought, well, you came over and we hired Finn and you weren't very happy about it.
No.
And I was like, you know, in my own mind, this is my business. Why is my new employee telling me that I can't hire someone? I was like, she's going to be a business owner. Huge balls, right? Huge balls.
I thought I was going to get fired. No, I thought I was going to get sued. I thought I was going to get sued, but it was fine. But I thought I was going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
So I was panicked about it because I think there's some sort of, I don't know, move on. But yeah, that happened. And then Matt's always been probably more invested in my progression than I am.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah, we see things called like PDPs.
Yeah.
I hated them. I hated them so much. Because it was like, it's called personal development plan.
Yeah, well, we'll put that under when you say PDP, you know, we'll like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll explain it. So people know what that means. Accurately.
But yeah, you'd sit down and Matt would be like, what can the business do for you, for your progression? Where do you see yourself in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time? And I'd be like, I don't know. I just want to make money. I don't know. It's like, do you want to manage? No.
I was going to say,
do you want to do this? No. I was just like, I'm happy.
Every time we ask that, what can the business do? No, nothing. Everyone goes, no, nothing.
I was like that.
It's all right. And then it's kind of like, well, there must be something. There must be something. So how did you get around that?
To be honest, I think, you know, despite what you're saying, I think it was really, really obvious that you were kind of tracking in that direction. Like Emily is probably one of the most talented people I've ever worked with. And I think when you've got somebody who's that talented, don't cry, you've got somebody that talented in your business, you kind of realize that they're not going to be there forever, right? There's going to come a point where they probably outgrow your four walls. So for me, it was partly a retention kind of strategy to say, right, let's kind of set you up on your own. But also, it just felt like a very natural progression from where we were. And you had a team that were, you know, they were a part of the business, but you had a kind of subculture going on. It wasn't a bad subculture. It was just, you know,
different.
Yeah, it was just different. And yeah, it just made sense.
Yeah, I guess. So that happened. So we did the PDPs and then we were in 20 stories. I think it was the month I did my first ever 50k month.
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't because I demanded balloons.
There's been
Do you remember
multiple
that?
since then.
Yeah. I do remember the balloons.
Yeah. So we were in 20 stories.
Oh God, I think I saw
remember.
it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
They were
this.
massive. They were
hell.
huge.
Yeah, I remember.
Extra.
How long ago was that? Doesn't feel that long ago, but I bet it is.
About a
It
year.
was probably, but May 2020, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So 2
May
years
2021. Sorry.
All right, okay.
This,
So
by
yeah.
this time last
I was
year.
going to say, we were definitely not hiring.
Sorry,
It came on to May 2020. No one was hiring. And then we went out to 20 stories for Achievers Lunch Club. And we were just half cut, like just chatting away. And he was like, what do you want? And I was like, I think I want my own business, but I wouldn't leave you. And he was like, okay, done. So I was like, okay. And he was like, but you need to actually start managing people and pushing in that direction because you've got a long way to go. So then we kind of worked from there-ish.
Yeah.
And then one day you just pulled me in for a meeting. You're like, we're ready to go.
Well, there's another side of it, which was obviously our clients are recruitment companies, right? So, and some of Emily's best clients are also investors in other recruitment companies. So they started having that conversation with her.
Right,
So
okay.
I wanted to sort of put it to her in a way that was like really genuine. But then I remember you came in, you said, I won't say the name, but such and such has just called me and said, we want to start a business with you. And at that moment, I was like, fucking hell. Like, sorry.
I'm not losing you.
Yeah, but you know, if I'm not a part of it, somebody else will eventually. Because I appreciated your loyalty, right?
Always.
Yeah,
Gotta be loyal.
touching. Yeah,
But I think it's such a rare thing. I don't know whether it's different in rep to rep, but I can't think of a business where you would get so much support from a director, which at the time you were going to be competing against each other. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
instead of looking at that as a problem, you actually looked at it as a solution. And by offering you this opportunity to start your own business, actually benefited the business rather than hindered it, which I think is something you rarely see.
It's good that you saw it as, instead of thinking, you know what, I'll put her down and make her think that she can't have her own business. You're miles off. You're so far away, you won't be able to do it.
I don't think I'm capable.
Instead
of
of
doing that.
instead of that,
It's
you
not my nature. Yeah.
steered her towards.
But there
doing
would be
it,
people
but
that
with
would do that,
which is-
you know?
There's so many people, more would do that than do what you guys have done. I think anyway. I think more managing directors would plant the seed of your miles off. It's a fucking mountain that you'll never get up. To think, oh, it's just 50k a month. So I'll get another fucking 3 years of that out of it. Do you know what I mean? That's what
this is the grass is greener thing. But I think that's the thing. When we came from a corporate background like you. So I think in the corporate world, it is retention over. Like they just don't want you to look anywhere else. Don't see what's out there because there isn't any better. And then when you got and you're like, oh my god, my eyes are open. So, what do you think then in the period? Obviously, as Matt was saying, then you didn't want to manage. So that, or at the time you didn't want to manage. So how did you overcome that hurdle? Because obviously, how big's the team now?
So including me, we're 8.
Yeah.
So we're 7.
So how have you gone from not thinking, no, I don't want to manage, to now having a team of 8 or 7 employees that you manage and a business to run?
You've got 8 beasts. That's why.
Yeah.
We talk about the numbers off air. You've got 8 animals, haven't you?
Yeah, my team are amazing. I feel like the core 4 that I started with, I'm so blessed to have, and they love it. And I think that they're just as invested in the business as I am. So, I mean, I'm a rec to rec at the end of the day, right? So I should be able to choose the best people for me. I should be able to recognise that. So I chose really, really well. And I care about them, which I didn't think I would because I'm actually quite a selfish person.
You're like the P&O Ferries guy.
In my head, I've always identified as that, no, I'm a ruthless recruiter. I'm super selfish, I only care about myself. But actually, you think like that. But when you do manage, you're actually like we have this big gong in the office. When I do a deal, I probably gong once every 4, once every 5. But when somebody else does a deal, it's everybody's up. Let's film it. Let's put it on the Instagram. Let's celebrate that person. I care more about that person's deal than mine. It tastes sweeter, I think. But if you've managed them, if you nurtured them, and you've helped them, I think it tastes sweeter. Yeah. I don't know.
100%. And I'm sure you feel the exact same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do loads of recruitment anymore, but there's nothing better than when a newbie does a deal, right? So on the way in, there's a girl that we hired 2-3 weeks ago who, to be honest, we had a couple of doubts about. Last week we were saying is she going to make it? And then today she's done her first deal, and that is just the sweetest thing. Really, really great. So yeah, I was going to say to you, when did you realise that you actually not wanted to manage, but actually enjoyed it? And when was that kind of that change? Because you were very anti-management.
I was like, well, the whole graduate market, but I don't want to manage anyone. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen.
24 hours a day.
Well, I'm just going to keep hiring people. So
walks in on a Monday, there's 4 people on a day.
I was slightly entitled, I guess.
Do you think?
What was the question? When I realised I wanted to manage?
Yeah.
Or I enjoyed managing once I'd hired?
Yeah, and the light bulb moment happened when you actually actually I can do this.
I mean, within the first month of hiring, where I had people doing, I don't want to sound flexy and...
You're not sounding flexy, it's fine. You can celebrate success. People are allowed to do well.
Yeah, from straight away, I had people doing probably 16 to 20k months. Minimum would be 12k months. Bear in mind, they were the clients that I'd had historically and I've worked with for years. But yeah, when that was coming in, and then it did just kind of, feel great when they would do deals and you'd be really, really proud of them and stuff like that. I guess it just came with time. But I think some people I have a team now and there's some people that really want to manage and really want a trainee. But that was kind of never me. No. It just kind of happened.
So what do you think then, what do you think's been the biggest challenge for you going from a employee working at Hire Group to now an employer and business owner? What's been the biggest challenge that you found?
Do you want to answer this one? It's a tough one.
I think though for you probably it's been quite a while, hasn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. You're going back.
I was a terrible employee, the worst sort of.
Yeah.
Probably third in that line. Yeah. There's a few companies that we won't name who would probably back you on that.
Maybe that could be the next podcast.
Yeah.
Disgruntled MDs on. Well, I think the big thing for us was going from being employer-employee to being business partners. Yeah. That was a transition, but I think it was pretty smooth.
So smooth.
Was it?
No?
I think there were 1 or 2 bumps in the road, wasn't there? A couple of teary conversations.
Don't talk
about it. Yeah.
But that was right at the beginning, and then I think since then it's been pretty smooth sailing.
Do you demand results? Both,
I don't
trickles down, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't need to. I mean, look, we've got a few business ventures, some of which are just like, Jesus Christ, like, we need to get on top of stuff. But to be fair to Emily and to one of our other MDs, Joe, like they're very, very focused. I think the best people are super focused, and you don't need to weigh in every kind of...
It's that balance, isn't it? Of
yeah.
We're all in a results-driven environment, but if you're demanding it, do they want it?
Yeah.
But then you're thinking, do I need to put the pressure on? Because it seems to... You've got it right, then that's trickled down to you, which is now trickled down to your team. Because I don't know loads about your team, but I've come in and met your team personally. And me and Henry were saying, we went in, everyone was buzzing. It was a happy environment. But they're all chatting, but one set, phone call, one set, phone call. It was never like, oh, the lads are here. It's an hour to do fuck all.
Downtime,
It was
all like at Tribe the other day when we went to the gym, and then they're all like, right, we've got to get back to the office.
Robin,
we need to do this, we need to do
she's the team leader, Robin.
Yeah, she had a Manchester.
Robin was like, right, 9 o'clock, go out. She's just done the Gillian calories.
You were like crying on the floor.
Yeah, I'm still there now. Yeah. That was 2 days ago.
I think what Matt's always done is I like go to him if I'm like underperforming in a month. I'll go to Matt and be like, I'm really stressed. And instead, in previous recruitment owners, I'm not going to name any names, it's like they would come to you and be like,
should we just start naming the names?
No.
Name the names. Let's get loads of views. Well, name the views and just name the names. Get the views.
You got to keep professional.
Especially in you do rec to rec, so you got to be dead nice to all these businesses.
Well, he's not a client, I'll say that for free. But so he'd be like, what the F's going on? Like, da da da. So like in my head, when I joined Higher Group, I was like, I need to keep everything perfect, otherwise he's going to go mental at me. So yeah, if I was underperforming, whatever, I'd go to Matt and I'd be like shaking and freaking out, and he'd be like, calm down, like you just need to calm down, like it's going to be fine, you're not going to lose your job, like let's just strip everything back to basics and see if we can help you bill instead of grilling you as to why you can't bill. I think it's probably one of the reasons I have always stayed loyal. I think, that'd be my managing tip.
Touching on something you said is just like, if you put so much pressure on, do you actually take away the person's agency? Do you put so much pressure on that they don't really want it for themselves anymore? Yeah. They just want it to escape a bollocking or satisfy a KPI or
keep
whatever
it is.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think, yes, I think that is, in a recruitment environment, you need to have people that are self-motivated, because we've got people that take calls at weekends, they stay late, they come in early or whatever, but like we don't ask it. It's just, I think we've got an environment, and particularly when you get a couple of people like you do that set the standard, everybody else just kind of goes, oh yeah, that's what you got to do to be successful. You've got to put the hard yards in. You don't need to kind of, beast people on call times or whatever whatever your kind of KPI of choice is, really.
I think that's the big one, isn't it? Like you said about not asking people to do calls on the weekend. Like we checked for the guys' monthly reviews, we pulled up all the figures and that, and one of the lads, he'd logged in every single day of the month, Saturday, Sunday, every day. I'm thinking, number one, my first reaction is, what are you doing? Like, but then I was thinking, that's what I was thinking. And he knows who he is when he listens.
Is he one of the better performers?
He is. He's going to get there. He's going to get there. We're obviously a lot smaller than you guys. We've got 2 guys at the moment that we're really, really proud of. They're both very different. The best, like really good mates, like work buddies. But they're both different, aren't they?
Yeah.
But the guy who logged in every day, I was thinking, my initial reaction was, what are you doing? But then I thought, that's why in maybe 12 months' time, he'll be the man in his way. I'll just say it. Ben, the other guy, he'll be the man because he just gets it. Recruitment, he's like a duck to fucking water.
Yeah.
He will get it once he will go to the moon. But I think Ryan will get it because he's so fucking disciplined. Yeah. But that's great for us because when we bring new people in, which we need another person.
On it. You've got 2 interviews tomorrow.
That's the standard then, isn't it? Like they come in, the new guys will come in and see them.
And that drives.
And that, yeah.
Because do you guys have KPIs? So we don't have any KPIs, which I don't know whether it's the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it.
So yes, but not like bash over the heads with it. I don't really check them. But I think it's important to keep people accountable, but not being like, what the hell were you doing yesterday? Why haven't you done this? Just be like, how was your day yesterday? Oh, I struggled. Yeah, I can see like what do you think you struggled with? What can I help with? But every market's different, but yeah, they have to do 3 FaceTimes with like decent candidates a day, and then from that take 1 to market, and that means that they have to have an interview arranged for that person. Give me my KPIs. Is that right?
They are KPIs.
You've still got to be able to
you
match
mean?
it.
Because we do it differently, where we don't set KPIs, and I think again, this is one of those business learning curves. We came from a place with 36 KPIs, so we were like, I don't want KPIs.
Same. And it's too much.
Way too.
Yeah. Because you don't know what's important and what's not important.
And I remember, you used to go to your monthly reviews. You've done your target, smashed it, but you haven't added enough managers to the database. And you get stick for it, and you're like, well, why are you focused on that rather than this?
Yeah.
So we just cancelled it.
Then you just swap managers back and forth. And it makes, and it goes, I'm gone now. I'm free, baby. But you just swap managers back and forth, and it makes you think.
You come in on a Sunday, or you just do it all. So we didn't have any, but then I think when people are struggling, like you say, you look back and we sit down with them and go, right, well, what's gone wrong? And the first thing you will look at is activity. Okay, so what are the numbers are you putting in to what you're getting out? So I think without having KPIs, I don't know whether that's the right thing, but at the end of the day, if anyone's doing anything and they're struggling, you probably look back at the data, don't you? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think a big thing is day planning. So when somebody starts, I think you can only get a couple of big things done in a day, depending on your market. You could be doing business development, sourcing for a job or whatever, but I think you need to know the 1 or 2 or potentially 3 things you absolutely need to do. And it's not activities as in calls or spec CVs, it's outcomes, things like interviews, candidates that are good to go to market, those sorts of things that actually drive the drive the deal flow. So I think that they're the things that we kind of manage on desk, but it's a daily thing where the consultant will almost sit down of their own accord, kind of put forward what they think they need to do, and then managers or I will kind of jump in and sort of talk them through, how are you going to do it? What's your plan? That sort of thing. But I think you need structure. I think for me, you can't run a recruitment business without structure and without process. So,
and I think that's probably something that you've benefited from massively. And tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here, from like having Matt and Jen in the business. Has that helped?
If I didn't have Matt and Jen, I probably wouldn't. There'd be a business. It would bill her, right? But no one would have any invoices. There'd be no money in the bank. So no one would have to do the invoices. There'd be no job advert. It would be a car crash. Yeah.
I was like,
it
what's
would be
this
awful.
bill from HMRC?
Technically, there'd be loads of money on the board, but there'd be no money in the bank. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's why I asked the question, because that's one of the. I found it really difficult to go, and I thought I'd find it easy to go from employee to business owner or business partner, or however you want to call it. I found that so difficult. Like the mental transition that, if you like, when sometimes, we've all done it, we've all gone to work and you have your off days, but you've got no one to lean on. Like I had Harry, but it's difficult to go to Harry and go, I'm really struggling at the minute, with this and this, because we've got 1,000,001 things to do to grow this business. And I found that quite difficult, but I don't know whether with you guys, with the way you did it, you sort of put in some safety mechanisms where that couldn't happen because you had a pre-existing relationship. But.
Yeah. Oh, you go.
No, the thing I was going to say is like when I started the company, there was 6 months from when I started to when Jen joined. And Jen joined, and the first thing she did was like, right, what's going on? Like, how much money have we got? Have we paid our bills? And basically, I'd been getting invoices and I hadn't paid any VAT for like 2 or 3 quarters. And I was just like, why the fuck would I pay VAT? It's my money. It's in my bank. Like, what's going to happen, sort of thing. And then she
doesn't mean that, Mr. Taxman.
Sorry.
It's up to date now.
But Jen, in her wisdom, got on the phone to the accountant and was like, look, we've got a problem. Can you help us? And then she's very much the sort of operational brains behind all of the companies, really. So, but yeah, I think to your point, like it's very difficult to grow unless you've got infrastructure in place, unless you've got somebody who's doing your back office, your credit control, your finance, who really gets that stuff. And then probably somebody else, as we were saying earlier, who can do learning and development and onboarding, depending if your model is trainee or graduate focused. So I think there are a couple of key positions you probably need to fill in order to actually scale your recruitment company. It's not just billers. There are people that support the billers who actually, if you get them in, they scale. Do you know what I mean? You can have one L&D person can probably onboard 30 people in a year if you do an intakes of 5 every 2 months. It's a quick maths, but nice. you could probably pull that off or thereabouts. But you can't do it if it's just you trying to do everything all of the time. So
did you find it difficult then when you set up Hire Group to go, oh, I'm not going to invest this X amount of money in bringing someone in to recruit and make more money for me. I'm going to put that into back office.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Whenever at the size we were at sort of like 7, 5, 7, 6 heads,
7, 5, 6,
3, 2. I wasn't interested. As in, like the business wasn't interesting enough for me to be like, oh, we need to keep this. I was just like, fucking spend, keep hiring, keep growing, anything it takes to get out of this. What is a shitty stage? You're so stretched. You never really feel like you're making a load of progress in any direction, and you just need to get out of that stage and into the sort of like teens and the early 20s for it to actually feel like a proper business. So to be honest, the answer is no. I was just like, right, we're going to spend in order to grow, and we're either going to grow or we're going to fuck it. But either which way, at least we aren't here anymore, because here isn't fun. So that was.
Did Jen do recruitment? Or
she's a great recruiter.
Yeah, she did a bit.
So
yeah.
But before you met,
no. Okay. Her
So-
background was marketing, so
right,
she was.
she took on everything else.
everything. Yeah.
She's
You
so
did the
clever,
billing.
though.
You did the billing.
But she recruited as well.
Oh, she did? Okay,
Yeah, in the early
nice.
days. Yeah.
So she
I was going
took it
to
on.
pay her a wage to send a couple of invoices. Come on.
Oh my
What
God.
did
So she just-
what did Jen say to you when you
We
said?
should have her here. What are you doing here?
To be fair, she's got all the passwords for everything. Right? So
She's the real boss.
She'll be giving this a sign off, won't she? when it goes live?
100%.
No, but when you went to Jen and said, right, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start a recruitment company. What did she say to you?
She thought it was a terrible idea and that I'd fail. Yeah, 100%. But she also realised I was miserable, so it was she was like, it's the right decision, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere, and I think you're going to fuck it basically. So, but after 6 months, I'd done all right, and she was never content as an employee. She always wanted something more. I don't think she could really pin it down, but then it just kind of it got to a point where it really made sense for her to join and do all of the things that I'm terrible at, like credit control. And she's I'm making it sound like she's a fucking admin person. She's really not.
She was a great
She's
recruiter.
a genius. Yeah, she's an absolute genius.
And she was a great recruiter as well. And she's hilarious. Like her one-liners that go into the group chat are just so funny.
It feels like you have a couple of really rare elements within your businesses. The fact that you and your wife work so well together and actually complement each other in terms of skill sets, and then the fact that, without bigging you up too much, you found someone like Emily who has now gone on and driven a part of the business. Because without sounding crass, you pretty much have established a stronghold on the Manchester market, really, within rep to rec. And I was going to ask you this: how do you feel? How have you done that? What do you feel you have done differently, without giving your secrets away, like the secret sauce? How do you feel you've done that? And where the other competition has just sort of whittled away, really?
I think I'm quite honest. I think I've always been myself, and I try and install that in my team. So yeah, recruiters are just people, right? If you treat them like some corporate robot, they're not going to like you. You're not going to be very memorable to them. But yeah, just being really genuine and getting on with them. But if I don't like a client, I won't. I'll tell them, like, I don't think we're the recruiter for you, and I wish you all good luck, and even recommend some of our competitors. Like, it has to work in our way, but as long as you keep it honest and representing them as the forefront of your mind, I think you'll do well. I don't know. I don't really know.
I would say, from our standpoint, you're probably the most eager recruiter I've ever worked with.
What works
Pacey.
with us is your pace,
is your
pace.
you're like CV.
We put
on
in
the
that
phone.
chat, we need someone, and we've got like all your team. Like,
But
I've got this guy.
even before that, though, when we were just working with
Just you,
you, it was like, right, I've got someone, here they are, phone me up, can you interview him in 45 minutes? Hang on, what? Like, there's no,
That was the thing
like,
with
there was no
Bella,
fluff,
wasn't
there
it?
was no, nothing. It was just, you want someone hiring, I'll do it for you in the shortest period of time. Here are the candidates, I like them all, interview them, take someone.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's a little bit of a cocktail between dyslexia and ADHD. I've got no ADD. Like, yeah, honestly, I think I've got both. I know I've got dyslexia. My mum never got me tested for ADD, whatever it's called, because she didn't want me to go on pills. But I was always naughty in school. But if I can avoid writing an email, I will. Like, I will not write an email. It's painful. I don't enjoy it. It's slow. I'd pick up the phone, have a conversation with you, and I'll tell you, particularly within grads, like, what are we going to say? 2-1 in business management, played sports, lives here. Like, what? It's no point. Do you know what I mean? What are you going to do? Yeah, literally, no one cares. It's exactly the same as all the others. Pick up the phone and be like, I love this candidate. They gave me great energy. I asked them this question, and that answer to that was this, and it was brilliant. I know that when I spoke to you last week, you said you wanted somebody who demonstrated these skills. So I feel like that answer demonstrates that. Can interview today at 4. They'll be in your office.
She's
suit or no
outside
suit.
now.
Yeah. You there? You're like, no, I'm like, well, rearrange it. It's now or never.
I've cancelled that appointment you had.
I've cancelled my mum's birthday.
I've already spoken to your mum.
But yeah, I do think it's probably dyslexia and ADD.
But do you think though that because you take, I feel like you take time to understand people's businesses. Like, you know, people that would fit in our company probably don't fit in other clients' businesses. And I don't know, I'm just interested, I'm just intrigued to see how you've got to this point where realistically your competition is slim. Because it never works that way.
I got an answer actually, and you kind of touched on it. When Em meets clients, she spells out what her process is, and it's not your process. It's this is how I do things. I find a candidate. I believe that they're a good fit for your business. You're going to interview them straight away. It's going to be a one-stage process.
Baby.
A one-stage process, which is her absolute party trick when it comes down to it. And it just works. You know, it just works because she gets the business. Whenever she sees the right person, she knows the match. And yeah, you just understand what your clients want and you make it happen really quickly. So I think that's the
one-stage process.
One-stage process,
yeah. Because we were shit at that.
Yeah.
And we've learned the hard
We're
way.
just rubbish interviewers. Like that's
We are.
the truth.
That.
Like we see someone at an interview and we're like, wow, we really like you. And then like, what did we do that for?
Turn up and you think,
yeah, and we are. And I think sometimes you doubt yourself and you're like, okay, I'm going to do 2 stages because then hopefully I'll see things I didn't see in the first and the second. But realistically,
It's exactly the same.
it is the exact same. Like, and there are people that you interview and they are different, and it's the same for the companies we recruit for. You know, you speak to on the phone, you interview, and they're amazing. The client loves them, and then day one they're just completely different people to what you remember, and that's just human nature. Unfortunately, some people will do that.
You think time helps your decision, don't you? But it's not time; it's information helps a decision, and you can get all the information. That you hold the information of that candidate and us in our market, and people think, well, if I go again, I'll get more information, and
But
then
they won't.
no, there isn't anymore. There's a set amount I can give you. So what do you need to know?
Yeah.
And that's where Emily rams it down your throat. And then you take her.
You made me look like some sort of monster.
I'm sat chilling.
I don't like saying no to you. Put it that way. Like, I'm scared.
Me neither.
When I've had an interview, it's not gone well, and I'm like,
That's what I say. She was like, Henry, give Emily a call.
Stop.
no, you're not. You're giving you a hard time now.
I am a strong believer that the word recruitment consultant is that you need to implement the consultant. Like, you should be an expert within your field of hiring, attracting talent, getting talent. So I like working with like yourself, small young startups, owner-led, stuff like that, and helping them and helping their businesses grow. And I get an equal buzz out of that than doing deals. Like watching a business go from 10 heads to 40, 50, 60 heads and knowing that you've had a huge part in that, like that gives me a lot of pride.
Yeah.
So I feel like doing that, it's not just about making the deal, it's about staying in contact with your client, seeing what they're doing, and then if they're doing something brilliant, maybe add value into it in some way or give them some ideas, or you should talk about that next time you've got this interview or this, I don't know. I just think it's being a consultant. I think that is really, really important.
I think that's really good advice. Do you find it difficult at times, because obviously you have like pretty much all the recruitment businesses you want to in Manchester and work with? Do you find it difficult sometimes when you've got like a really good candidate and have interviewed at a few? How do you like mitigate that process if a candidate's like, oh, I don't know which one to choose, and there's 3 companies and they're all ringing you like, Emily, I want him or her? Do you ever get in those situations and find it tricky?
I've always gone through my life of going my gut. So this is something I say to a lot of my candidates that are in that position. So way back when in my first recruitment role, I was offered 2 jobs, and one was by far the better business with the better reputation, better structure and everything. And then I took this grad recruitment role, which had been going for donkey's years and there's still only like 10 heads. And do you know what I mean? Very, very old school. But I just had this gut feeling that I sound so wanky and weird, but like I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what I say to my candidates. Like, it doesn't make any difference to me. All of our clients are on the same terms. It literally makes 0 difference to me. I will educate people on who's got best staff retention. That's something I will say. Like, from my experience, this person's had really great staff retention, so that's worth keeping in mind. But as a whole, go with your gut, because I feel like that will help you. And you know, these people will love you. If you've got 3 offers and they all love you, there's not that much to lose. Go give that one a go. If it's not right, coming back in 3 months. Not 3 months, that's our rebate. 2 months. I wouldn't do that. However long. If it's not right, ask any of my clients. That is
Literally half of Manchester.
They're already calling in,
Since we've been sat here as well. Your handbag's been vibrating.
Exactly. Call any of my clients. That's not a thing. That was really bad. 1 month, however it is, and I'm sure that them other companies would be happy to see you again. So yeah, I would just say go with your gut, and yeah, don't push them, because there's not really a lot you could do.
I genuinely agree with you, because when I had my interviews when I was coming into recruitment, it was between 2 companies, and I remember I did like a pros and cons. I couldn't make a decision, and I just went with the one that I just felt like, that I should go there. And God, if I hadn't, I don't know where I'd be now, because I literally met Harry on day 1. Yeah, we did.
He was late.
They thought, I was late. I wasn't, to be fair. I didn't realise that you couldn't actually park there.
I wasn't, though. It's black and white, like, isn't it?
Well, it's not.
Black and white.
They said get there, and I thought, I'll be able to park. I
So
pulled
did
up
you
and all the
arrive
car parking
after the
spaces were
time?
full. So I was like, what am I meant to do? Like,
So you were late on your first day in
yeah.
recruitment?
But and they thought we were going to hate each other, didn't they? They said, we don't know if you two are going to work
Him and
together.
his voice.
We'll try it.
Hello.
I'm not posh. Everyone thinks I'm posh. I'm really not. Cool. So since starting Hire Talent, over the last few months, when did you start? Sorry, when was it?
1st October.
1st October. So 8 months.
8 months ago.
8 months. Yeah. Talk us through your highlights. Talk us through like the things that you look back now and go, wow, that was like, I was really impressed with that, or I was proud of myself, or proud of the company.
I guess, we talked about this before, didn't we? this month. So there's a month before we went to Paris, and then this month where everything's just going well. Like, I don't really have many concerns at the minute. Like, there has been a few bad months and this, that, and the other, but as a whole right now, it seems like things are going really, really well. So I'm quite proud of it. I feel like I keep saying, this business has got legs, hasn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's got legs. I won't say it on air, but we came into your office, didn't we, last week? And I saw the
good hospitality.
Took a cheeky look at the board, didn't I? And for what was on that board for a business 8 months old is pretty fucking savage, to be fair. So you should be.
Thanks.
You should be super
you should
proud.
Be really happy.
Yeah, no, I am.
I tell you now, if like there aren't many people.
No way.
You
think it's normal because you've obviously come from Hire.
Yeah.
You think that's
it's special.
Aww.
But and then in terms, because obviously like you hit Paris, you got to take your team.
That was
to
amazing.
Paris.
There's a champagne cruise on the first night. I mean, it sounds much more bougie than it was. It was, but it was really, really nice. It makes it sound like it was some
Money
bougie.
well spent then.
It was lovely, but it wasn't at least kind of like private yacht. It was kind of like a ferry with like it's called champagne cruise. Anyway,
it was a booze cruise.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Stop bullshitting.
It wasn't a booze cruise.
A Betty Bear bike or something.
It was just amazing, like just going up there and just being in Paris and going past the Avatar with the team and just being like, we could be rich here. Like, we're going to get rich. It was just lovely.
I think one of the big things, is the team. So when you guys actually started, there was 4 of you?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that were kind of developing, but now, Robin's in a management role, Jacob's just done a record month, Lucy's building out a new market. So you look at those 3 people that were, they were resourcing your roles maybe, 6 months ago, and now they're kind of leading things and breaking records. And I think that's probably the thing that kind of stands out most for me.
Has Hire Talent done better, has you thought, or worse than what you when you set off, when you went, right, we're doing this in 20 stories, and then you put all the paperwork in place? if 8 months down the line, what would you say?
Yeah, all right. So I think we always knew it was going to work, right? Because the core team was already there. So you're rebranding a team, but you're not really changing loads of fundamentals. But I think definitely over the last month has been a bit of a turning point for you guys, because they used to be very, very Manchester centric, but now they're doing Bristol and Birmingham. And I think one of the key things was Emily's so influential, but actually being able to devolve some of that responsibility. So Robin, who's probably was your second hire in your team, has really kind of stepped up into a management role. And that was the girl that was, whipping them all into shape at Tribe the other morning. So I think, did I see that happening? Probably not as quickly, I think because it usually, as you said, it takes probably a year to actually get your feet under the table and get to performance. But you guys have done it, really, really quickly. So
it was like harmony when we walked in there, wasn't it?
People look up to you. That's the other thing that we were impressed. And stop like people are allowed to say nice things about you, Emily. It's not a bad it's not a bad thing. That's the other thing that me and Harry mentioned on the walk back from the office is that you've got respect, and that you don't. You don't demand respect, you earn it. And that's something you can see through every single one of your team, is that they look up to you with respect. And I think that just says so many good things. So you should be proud. So anyway, if you've not got a highlight, we've got highlights for you.
No, I think that's been installed. I think it's something that I think I struggle with a little bit, because I think you installed that really, really well. I think when we first started Hire Group, Matt was, going out with, sorry, Matt, when you're here, going out with the lads and stuff like that, and he was every matey. And then you went through probably like a 6-month change where you're now seen as the boss. And there's a lot of respect there. So I think having to go, that's something maybe I struggle with a little bit, is going from a manager to, like you say, the employer or whatever, is trying to get that respect and almost be like, Emily's walking in the room, we should pick up the phone. Like, this definitely doesn't happen. It's like, oh, Emily, like, wait, what's just happened? So I think that's something that I need to kind of go through, but we're still at 8. So as we grow, I think that's going to be a big kind of...
What do you think your biggest challenges over the next, 6 months or so?
I think keeping the culture. So our culture is something that I find is going to sound quite big-headed, but very, very special. I think we've got a very unique culture. Everyone is best friends. Half the team are getting matching tattoos on Saturday. Like, I know. Like, very, very, very close. And
just for all legal purposes, like we've not made them. That's a personal choice.
It's tattoo,
is it? Where is it?
I think some of them are getting 11-11, because every time there's 11-11, we all stop and...
They should do it like
wish for deals.
Things, 11.
That's quality.
So there's that. So I think as we grow with that, I think for personal reasons as well, is I think like work-life balance is something I really struggle with. I don't know if you guys do with starting the business. That has probably been the toughest thing for me.
You don't stop. You never stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't actually think, and you're further on than we are, but I don't think that ever stops, because it's your baby. Like, is that what you mean, or not?
Yeah, it's exactly what I mean. Like, if you love what you do, it doesn't. There's a really like old saying, isn't it? But if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, which is so true. But my boyfriend doesn't love recruitment, so to listen to call after call, my poor dog is not getting walked. But he does get walked by James, but I'm not going out in the walks and stuff like that. And the washing and the cooking and everything else, like, it is really, really difficult. So I think balancing that and like personal relationships and my friendship group as well. I've got a group of girls that I probably used to see every week, and now see once every 3 months, I would say maximum.
But do you not see that you're making, the way I see it is, you make small sacrifices now, and some of them are bigger. Like
some of them are big.
Like not seeing your friend, like that's that's difficult. But that you do like, unfortunately, nothing comes for free, and you have to make sacrifices in order to get somewhere. And obviously, you've got a plan of where you want to get to, and you've got no problem with anyone saying it. You want to be rich, you want to be successful. All that stuff then comes back to you later on. Do you not feel like you get your time, you give up your time now, but you get it later on in life, whereas a lot earlier than other people who potentially go in a career and do something for 30 years and then retire when they're 60. You could be retired way earlier and enjoy your life then. Do you not see
for sure. Like, that's why I do it. I make the choice every day to prioritize higher talent. But yeah, I think as the business grows, I would like to maybe spend a little bit more time with James.
But that's why it's so important to have someone like Robin or the other team, as they come up, and you can, like you say, give them more responsibility. Then you can have a little bit more time,
Sure.
can't you? So that's good.
I think you even though you work in the same office as Jen, I reckon.
We don't speak to each other in the day
at all.
Do you not?
No.
Opposite sides.
To be honest, I think we need to avoid each other because we see things very differently, right? She'll see the kind of worst case, what's the risk, how could this go wrong, and I kind of see that too, but I'm more kind of optimistic. I'm always sort of like quite future orientated, and I think if we were to have 2 or 3 conversations a day, we'd spend a lot of time like screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And we already do that enough already at home. So in the office, we just gotta stay away from each other. But no, I think we've got good balance now, because I think when we were smaller, we were constantly communicating, and that was pretty tough. I mean, I don't know how you guys find being.
We're like a married couple as well.
Like a married couple, yeah. You look like a married couple.
Yeah, you do actually. Matching outfits.
No, I can't. That is the one thing I'm like pretty proud of. We've never argued.
No, we bicker, but we don't.
Yeah, we've had stern words to each other.
Yeah,
we don't argue.
There's a respect there of we speak to each other a certain way, and if it gets heated because we're both very hot-headed, we leave. I'll go back to my seat. Like in the new office, obviously you've been in. How far away am I? I'm on the opposite side, aren't I?
Yeah.
We sit away and we go into the room with the dartboard. So the magic happens in there.
The dartboard and the brandy.
Yeah. We go in there to make decisions, but we're quite good at because we met through work.
Yeah.
So
and then become friends outside.
And became friends.
Yeah.
Because we were actually talking about it the other day. Since 2017, other than Sunday, we've spent pretty much every day together since 2017, which is like longer than you spend.
Why Saturdays? What's the?
Yeah,
we used to work Saturdays.
We used to play football. Yeah.
Football.
So yeah, we used to work together Monday, Friday, then play football on a Sunday, get drunk all Sunday afternoon, come back into work on a Monday, and Saturday was the only day.
So it was either Sunday or Saturday one day.
Harry's just bought a house, and his dad made a joke and was up like looking around. They're like, "Oh, spare room." This is Henry's room, is it? Like that, it's a joke, but it works. I think obviously the older you get, but we work together. We're part of the same social group. We've got similar friends. Like a lot of Harry's mates that I've met from Chile Hume have become friends of mine, and it's just evolved like that. But there's just something I wanted to ask you, Matt, just while we've got you. When Hire Group grew, how did you do that? How did you go from being everyone's friend, or still are everyone's friend, to boss?
Good question.
Because I think that's got to be
It's
one of
a
the
really
hardest
hard thing,
to have those conversations when you've, like say, you've known them for so long, and then all of a sudden the business has got too big where you can be matey with everyone.
I think it's a couple of things. First, some of the key people that we were talking about earlier. So, wife, my best friend from home's actually our kind of director of L&D. So we have a very kind of frank relationship, sometimes a bit too frank, but probably for a different podcast. And get him on. He'll say something totally different. So I think there's that. We've got the leadership team is very close personally. So there's a lot of just, we're very honest with each other. But I think the second thing is just like, we hired more people, right? So as you hire people, you are more and more senior with every person that you hire. So I think there are some new people in the business that, I don't like saying it, but, there's a bit of fear there. There's a little bit of, they don't want to get caught in a room with me, or they don't want to kind of get caught in a lift, that sort of thing, which I struggle to get my head around because I'm 29. I still consider myself, a young MD or whatever. But yeah, I think you just, as you grow, there's a certain kind of, I wouldn't say it's a mystique, that's the wrong way of putting it, but you become less attached to the people that you're hiring. And with that separation, there's an authority in there. Yeah. I think, I could say this and then all of our trainees will kind of revolt tomorrow.
The only thing I can kind of relate to that is when we got to our biggest, I know we've gone a little bit smaller now, but when we got to our biggest, there was a works night out. Oh no, there wasn't a works night out. We were speaking, and I literally, like fucking clockwork at 4:30, I say, "What's everyone having for the tea? What's everyone doing tonight?" Literally like clockwork, and they're all going out. I was thinking,
are you invited?
Yeah.
And but
when you realise that
the gap was starting,
it's a good thing though.
Yeah.
It's a good thing because you shouldn't be in every social.
Because I was going to ask you, do you, when you do like Achievers, Lunch Club, whatever you call it, company holidays. Do you go on every one of them? Or
I go on all the company holidays and like a lunch club, yes, but like after work beers on a Thursday, absolutely not. Despite it's a Thursday, something else. But it still works. I'm working. So I suppose I think you've got to be conscious of where you are and also where you aren't. Do you know what I mean? It's just like there's some events that you go to, and then there's other things like the sort of the pub after work. I think you probably need to pull back from that sort of stuff. And probably the final thing I'd say is there are so many junior people in our business that in my mind, my responsibility is to make sure that they get as good as possible, as quick as possible. And if I have that mindset with every single person, then I think there's just a genuine sense of appreciation. Like you're taking your time to try and make sure that I'm good at my job. And like at the end of the day, human beings we're not robots. So people do have, a sense of decency. So they don't kind of, it's not lost on them, put it that way. They know that they're getting value and they kind of, I think they, appreciate it. I'd hope. Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah. Thank
for
you
your time. Before we finish, what would just give us, if someone was setting up or, listen to this and was like, oh my God, you've inspired me, I want to do my own business. What would, from both of you, one tip you would give them? Like now you've done it or are doing it, what would you say to someone?
You go first.
All right. I think the one tip I'd give is you're not in the recruitment business. You're in the human capital asset business. So the people that work for you, they have a lifetime value to your business if they're good people of millions and millions of pounds. Like literally, if they can grow a team or grow an office or a division or whatever, then they're so much more valuable than, say, your clients. And not to say that your clients aren't valuable, but actually your people are more valuable if you have good people. So I think the thing you need to be aware of is like you've got to get the best people, you've got to give them the best support, and you've got to deploy them in opportunities that are going to keep them engaged for the long term. So that can look looks in loads of different ways, but you have to have a mindset of the people are the priority. How do I put them at the front and center, and how do I get them to a level where they're the best, and then keep them for a very long time? So that's probably my bit of advice.
That's amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's much
Top
better than
mark.
mine.
Follow that.
I would say know your non-negotiables as a person, and then install them into your business.
Yeah.
Respect is something that I think is across both businesses, whether kind of adding on to what you say with clients, with candidates. Don't let anyone speak to your staff or you without respect or whatever. So know your non-negotiables and stick to them.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. You're smashing it.
You smashed
Thanks
it.
so much for coming on.
Thanks for coming, guys.
And
Appreciate it.
cheers.
We survived.
All the best.
Thanks, guys.
Wasn't that bad, was it? Wasn't that bad?